the association is not there.
I've literally said to people, been like, all right, just check your name's what? Steve? All right, so I'm here with... and fuck it up instantly. It's just, Lou. Oh, God, Lou. Mel. So we do bar talk with Jordan and Carl, and we were at this it was like a gentleman's club, and
okay, when you say it like that,
it wasn't like a gentleman's club. It was sorry, it was a men's club.
Like an actual gentleman's club, like Pinkies Up.
No, more like neither.
No.
More like $2 beers and
think of it like the Elks.
Yeah.
That's what they refer to as a gentleman's club.
Now it's just what I call it. But I'm an idiot.
Okay, no, you're not. You're not.
No, he called that a gentleman. It's like no.
So
gentleman's club. You know what? I like it.
I introduced him as Mel, and he's like, "My name's Lou," and I'm like, "Right." For the rest of the show, I called him Lou. And then we recorded a second episode. I'm like, we're here with Mel. He's like, Lou. I'm like, fuck.
After over an hour of talking to him and calling him Lou the whole time, I'm here with Mel.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I'm not the only person because
he super looks like a Mel. You'd call him Mel.
Yeah. He's got resting Mel face.
I've been doing really good, but it's all on Zoom now, so I can be like, I'm here with Bill.
Can I have my cheat sheet?
No, I got it.
Should we have name tags?
Yes. Hi,
honestly,
my name is...
I'm not offended at all because in my world, I'm like, nobody has a name and I just like you as a person, and why isn't that enough? Because too many people take the fact that like you don't know their name personally, and I'm like, this literally has nothing to do with you as a person. This has everything
I'm pretty
to do
good at
with
faking
me.
that I know who people are, though.
See, I don't even like faking it. You know, it makes me uncomfortable because I'm like, they're going to find out.
They'll know I don't.
They're going to know.
I don't know. I just feel like I know too many people not to just be like, hey, man.
Every time.
Do you know what's weirder, though, is when you have someone that like greets you slightly familiar, and then you're like, hey, how's it? It's good to see you. And they're like, I've never met you before. And you're like, oh, shit.
I like judge people's energy, and if I feel like they know me, I'm like, yes, we're obviously best friends.
How's your mom?
Yeah. What?
For 20 years.
Yeah.
Not that. So I'm glad I'm not the only person because that has absolutely happened to me on so many occasions. It's always like when you're like, oh, have I met you? It's always like no, and then when you're like, I've not met you, they're like, yes, you have. I always get it wrong.
See, the key is always be awkward and standoffish.
Always.
Good work.
That'll make the world a better place.
Years of practice on this. I treat everyone like I kind of forgot who they were at some point. Because half the time I've forgotten who they were at some point.
I'm like too friendly and outgoing to do that.
Not my problem.
But it's not my problem.
I do not share that.
It's a problem.
Concern, yeah.
What's worse, though, is like when you've met it happened recently. Where someone's like, hey, what's going on? You're like, hey, how you... It was a bartender. I was a bartender at somewhere that acted like they knew me. And then at the end of the night, I'm like, oh, you clearly don't know me because you called me sir.
Sir.
I might have been overly friendly. Shit. Where the hell was that?
No, it's okay.
I
feel like it's better to be overly friendly than...
I mean, they're a bartender. Overly friendly is kind of what they're used to.
True.
Yeah.
I suppose that's fair.
You didn't cross over to, like, creepy.
I didn't, like, hold his hand or anything. It was weird.
Hey, man, it's really nice to see you.
Good to see you. Can I have a beer? What do you mean you have to leave? Bullshit.
Right? We've overserved.
No, he's just like that all the time.
Yeah. That's worked before.
I am glad that I'm not the only person because I just wish nobody had names and this would be a lot simpler. I'm like, I literally don't care what you call me.
Buddy
you call me
or
any
man
name
or bro.
and I don't care. If you're friendly and we're having a nice conversation, I don't care if you think my name is Steve.
It's not. Don't fuck me up. It's not.
We're here with Steve.
We're here with Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Sorry to let you all down.
Yes, you can call me.
I'm
going to give you so many names, wrong names. Ashley, Melissa.
Oh, see, you're just messing with me. So welcome to the Inebri-art podcast. I'm your host, Andy, and it's coming up on 6 years that we've been running this show, and when we started this show, we weren't looking for accolades or awards or anything like that, but God damn it, we set a record. We are the leading podcast in Sarah Martins.
Woo!
Because this is our second Sarah Martin. On the show, Sarah Martin
We're pretty
number
prevalent.
2.
We're pretty prevalent in the world.
I'm gonna that's my new thing. We lead the podcast world in Sarah Martins.
Love it.
But welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We have kind of been like orbiting friendship. Like we have like so many friends in common.
We do.
Where it's just like I feel like I know you by
association.
Yeah, like osmosis.
Yeah. By osmosis.
Like we become friends through other people's friendship.
Yeah.
So what's going on? What's new? I feel like I can't ask like the normal like, hey,
no, things are going well. We're just discovering the authentic happiness of life. We're deconstructing
what we were saying
things.
that you're a very positive person. Is that a natural state for you? Is that something like you kind of like work towards? And does music help?
So I feel like it used to be something that I gave off, but it wasn't necessarily authentic. There was like a lot of internal struggle behind the scenes. Yeah. Now I feel like it's actually authentic because I've learned how to actually live a kind of life that I want. And it's not so much about other people's perception of me.
Other people's
perceptions. It's about my own perception of myself.
And did that come from taking like music as your career? Or was it like, was there pressure on you to be doctor, lawyer?
No. So actually kind of the opposite. I feel like my whole life, I've been singing since I was like 12.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of always expected a little bit for me to do music. And my parents were always super supportive of it. I did get to a point where in my life, thank goodness, they were like, if you want to do music, you have to do this by yourself. Like, you have to go get your shows and everything, which was great because, I need that. But it got to a point, I think, in my life where I didn't know who I was without music.
Oh, that's
so it was like kind of a scary thing because everyone had always known me. Oh, Sarah, she does music, she sings and stuff. Like when anybody would talk to my parents, they'd be like, "How's your daughter who sings?" It would always be that was the association. So it got to a point last year where I kind of panicked a little bit because I was like, if I lost my voice tomorrow,
Would I still be a person?
I literally don't. Yeah. I don't know who I would be. I don't know what other things in life brought me joy or anything like that. So I actually went on an 81-day road trip by myself this past summer to just kind of discover what made me happy, things that made me tick, things that
It's interesting. Where'd you go?
Literally everywhere. I went from here to New York, up through Michigan,
Senegal. Not everywhere.
No, I didn't go to Senegal. Up through Michigan, Wisconsin, Dakotas, Montana, all the way out to Seattle, down down California, and walked my way back.
Were you kind of playing along the way, or were you just kind of?
So I was going to play, and then I just released a song before that and done a dinner show, and it was just too much work for me to try and plan shows by myself. But I did end up volunteering with this nonprofit called the National Angels. They support children in foster care and their foster families through donations and mentorship. Mm-hmm. And so they have 22 chapters across the country. So that's actually what I ended up doing on my road trip is I volunteered for 16 of their 22 chapters while I was on my road trip. And it was...
Is that kind of what solved your question?
Yeah, it was definitely part of it.
Yeah.
It kind of just brought perspective and purpose to the whole thing. Because I kind of wanted to volunteer anyway on my road trip, but I thought I was going to end up picking up trash or something. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I kind of found the National Angels like a month before I was going to leave for my road trip, and I didn't have like a route planned or anything. I was just kind of like, if I just like step back, God's going to let me know
where the wind takes you.
Yeah, and then I found all these chapters, so I kind of planned my route around where the chapters were and did some hiking and stuff along the way, went camping. It was just really, really cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I made my own fire for the first time. It was pretty...
Did you just use a match, or was this like 2 sticks?
I did use a lighter and some notebook paper and stuff, but it's still the first time I did it.
Sound that impressive.
It was for me. People
make their own fires by accident all the time.
By accident all the time. No, where was I? I think I was in... I'm pretty sure I was in Utah, and it was like the first night that I like camped on someone's farmland, just like out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody was really around. There was like coyotes in the background and just like tons of stars. It was just it was the coolest experience ever.
I've always found that very frustrating, where it's like, if I want to start a fire, why is it so hard? Difficult? But then people are like, oh, I burned my house down with a cigarette by accident. And been like, I had everything I needed and I couldn't start the fire.
So I feel like every time I've tried to start a fire in the past, someone always has taken over for me. And they're like, we'll get it going. So it was just me. So that was like the first time nobody stepped in. And I was like, oh, like I can do this. If I don't need somebody else to come in. So it was, I don't know, it's an empowering experience.
No, it sounds like it. Like, I get it. The idea that you don't need someone else to take care of you.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
It was nice.
I mean, it's not starting, with 2 sticks.
No.
Tom Hanks style, but
no.
Whatever.
We'll get there eventually. Maybe this year when I go.
Are you gonna take a class in that, or?
I've got those little
YouTube.
I've got those little flint things.
Oh, the fire.
Yeah.
Then you need kindling.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah. YouTube, you can learn anything from YouTube. I've learned so many things from YouTube.
So you're back in Mass. Did you grow up here?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm originally from Lakeville.
Okay.
Yeah, so not too far away from here. And then I moved to Nashville, I think, when I was 25.
And was it just that's where music is, so I'm going there? Or was
honestly, there was music here the whole time because I grew up starting full time in the South Shore. Yeah. But it was more of when I went to Nashville for the first time, I just fell in love with it because it's music 24/7 there, and music has always been my therapy. Listening to live music.
Yeah.
So when I went there, I just fell in love and couldn't not move there. Was kind of the situation. So yeah, I was there. I was there for 6 years. And then, start of COVID, I got unengaged. And so I ended up back in Mass through a series of events. Yeah. That does happen. Yep. I was just talking to my sister about this the other day. I'm like, this is this perception that once you get engaged, you automatically get married. And I found that that's honestly, not the case.
Unengaged is far better than getting divorced.
I would say so.
There's less paperwork involved.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper, way cheaper.
I would say
There's less obligation to giving you half my crap.
I will say too that although there was a lot of pain that went with becoming unengaged, that was kind of the tipping point for my self-growth. And
was that where you're like, I'm going to go take a road trip?
Yes, that was part of it, but that was actually a year afterwards. It was I think once your life is not perfect anymore, because being unengaged is probably my worst fear in my life because perception of what other people thought of me was my forefront. Okay. So once it was kind of okay, well, this is happening and people know about it and I'm still alive. So why do I really care? It was a very freeing thing.
I found getting divorced made me very much an unmaterialistic person.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of oh, look at all the stuff that I had that I don't need.
Yeah, you're talking to somebody that still has a storage unit of stuff in Clarksville, Tennessee, but
after a while, you're why do I have that storage unit? And because I obviously don't need it. It's been however long. I'm not right. You might need it. I don't know, but it just was because being a guy, I got the divorced dad apartment. It was dump. And you end up moving around a bit, and you every time you move, you're well, I don't need this because I'm not moving it again, and you just kind of get pared down, and you're wow, I really don't need that much.
See, for me, it wasn't so much the stuff, although I've not really ever been super materialistic anyway. It's more of I just don't want to buy this stuff again because it costs money. Yeah. But for me, it was just more of, I said, perception, people's perception of you and the actual reality of what you're living and what you're feeling and stuff. Because for me, it sucked, but at the same time, I was learning to be a better version of myself as a result. Right. So the reality of the situation was I was becoming a better person. When to the outside world, it could have been oh man, poor her, she's going through all this, when that wasn't the reality. So I kind of from that point learned to separate.
Did it affect you on stage as a performer? Because as a performer, you don't want to get out there and be hey guys, what's up? I had a really crappy day. You have to put on that.
Listen, I know COVID was crappy for a lot of people, but it came at a pretty good time for my life because I got to just kind of take a minute and decompress. I wasn't obligated to go out and play shows or anything like that. So, I at least had 6 months between doing anything that I just got to
it was just kind of built an excuse.
Yeah, I got to process and decompress. I did. It was funny because that summer I ended up playing a wedding show for someone. And like,
woof.
I just wasn't, I wasn't sure like how I was going to feel about it. I was like a little concerned, but it was actually really good for me because I was like, okay, like people are happy and that's great. Like I don't need to feel any certain way because this day isn't about me. Like,
I hope you guys are happy.
Well, I was not sure because you don't actually know how you're going to react to something until you're in the situation. And so I was in the situation and I was like, you know what? No, I'm happy for these people. This is great that like things are working out.
Yeah. Nice.
So it was good. It was good.
So now things are opening back up again.
Yes. Yeah.
And you playing, touring, Nashville here.
So I've been playing mostly like private shows right now. But we're going to get back into playing more shows in the South Shore. I just wasn't sure where I was going to be, Nashville versus Massachusetts, so I hadn't really planned anything
you don't
yet.
Want to start booking shows and then be like, oh, I'm not going to be there.
Yeah. And I kind of realized that I love Nashville, but I don't want to be in Nashville year-round. I'm kind of like a nomad anyway. Like, I'm not really super happy in one spot. I figure
anyone that travels on the road for 81 days...
I'm going to do it in my... I'm sleeping in my Prius this summer.
Sane.
Yeah, so I'm excited. And I know that the average person wouldn't be excited to sleep in their car, but I'm super jazzed.
Sounds real tiny.
No, it's not.
No,
it's really not. Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be great.
I'll trust you.
I'm very excited.
Okay.
I'll send you a video.
You should probably get a tent or something.
I have a tent.
Okay.
Yeah, for like days where I feel like sleeping outside, but I spent a lot of money on hotels this summer.
Yeah.
Like in between camping. So this summer I'm just like, I don't want to spend all that money. I just want to sleep in my car and sleep in my tent.
I mean, it's not a terrible thing. Like,
yeah.
I slept in my car recently and it wasn't intentional. I mean, I guess it was intentional.
Was it?
Really? All right. So
explain.
I was up in New Hampshire and it was a bunch of like high school buddies who haven't seen each other in forever.
Yeah.
And I had to work, so I left Massachusetts at 7, so I got up there about 9. So they're hammered.
Okay.
And it's like, all right, I got to get caught up. Hanging out, catching up, blah, blah, blah. Then I wake up in my driver's seat of my car, like in the driveway. Which I'm like, at least I didn't go anywhere. But my buddy who owns a cabin was like, oh, just bring an extra pillow and a blanket. So I had like the pillow and the blanket. I'm like, did I come out here to get the pillow and the blanket and just be like, sleep? And I look in the passenger seat and there are my bags. And I'm like, did they kick me out? What did I do?
Did you find out what happened?
I went out and they're like, why are you sleeping in your car? I'm like, I hope you could have told me that. And there were plenty of like beds.
I bet that you just got there to get your blanket.
Bring my bags. That was the weird part. They were already inside.
Maybe you were planning on leaving and then you realized that was a terrible idea and thought, this is comfy.
I literally don't know what happened. Yeah, but you know, reunions, they're like that.
Yes.
You drink too much.
Yes.
So you said you have some unreleased stuff. So are you in the process of writing a new... Do they still have albums? Does that sound stupid? Do they have...
No. So, I mean, people still release albums. I don't think I'll ever...
Because I feel like some people just put out songs kind of like when they're ready.
Yeah. So, in the past, I've always released albums. But the problem with albums, and for me personally, is just that I don't have enough energy to promote 8 songs.
Yeah.
You know, it's just too much work. So I'm pretty sure that there's songs on albums that nobody knows exist because I just haven't properly promoted them.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So I think it's better, in my personal opinion, for me, I know that going forward, I'll release singles and then maybe I'll make an album out of the singles eventually.
I feel like you get more bang for your buck doing it that way because each song, like you said, each song gets like the appropriate amount of promotion and doesn't get lost on an album.
Well, and I think back in the day, albums were what everyone else was doing, and as an independent artist, I think sometimes we just like look at what the bigger people are doing, and then we do that.
Because if you were ever like, excuse me, Mr. Record Executive, I would like to put out one song every 6 weeks.
But now that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
But at the time,
before it would be crazy.
Yeah, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, we release albums here.
I'm going to put it up on the computer.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would like to release some new music. I think this year, what I might do is I might release like maybe 1 or 2, but primarily, like, you know, people have Patreons and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll do like a lot of unreleased music through there just to kind of see which songs people like and then release the ones that have, you know, the most streams or plays or whatever.
Do you do a lot of online streaming?
I mean, all my music's on online streaming right now.
Well, like live stream, like in the Twitch-averse. Is the Twitch-averse a thing, Fish?
I don't do.
Sort of. All right.
I don't do Twitch, but I do a Facebook Live every day. Mostly every day.
Really?
Yeah, since COVID started, before COVID started, I just do like an original and a cover song every day just to kind of keep up with my community because I've built like a nice little family on Facebook.
That's cool.
It is really cool. They come on and like say hi to each other and ask each other how their day. Like it's fun.
That's kind of cool.
There was a time where I didn't go on for a week and then I went back on and they were all like, "I've missed you," and like talking to each other, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I've kept them apart."
Yeah.
And like, so now I do it for me and for them.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. They've like actually become. I've even had 2 people that started dating each other. I'm just saying.
Wow.
I know.
That's so weird.
It's so cool.
Like, this goes way back for us. One of the first things Inebri-art started doing was our figure drawing event.
Okay.
And we had an artist that found us and started coming, and super nice guy, and got to talking to him, and I think I was talking about the general like weirdness behind like kind of getting I don't know if reputation's the right word, but kind of getting your name out there.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I credit you guys for helping me stay off heroin." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "When I found you guys, I had just recently like got clean.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I stayed off heroin was because I had this." And I'm like, "Please don't put that on me." Like I felt like so.
But
like,
that's awesome.
It was amazing. But then I suddenly felt like, oh my God, like So like I had like, "Hey man, are you okay?" Like I felt like this obligation to like check up on him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure he appreciates the checkups, but that's awesome that you kind of kept him from that.
Well, you made a love connection on your Facebook page.
I did make a love
That's
connection.
like something good came from Facebook.
I know. See, but that's the thing. You just never know how your behaviors are going to affect somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like how just like offering someone a slot on your podcast can help someone.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just like one of those, and I think we've always been really lucky as far as when people offer us things to do, we're always just like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Because you don't know. You have no idea what's going to happen. And we'll run events, up in, where the hell? Oh, we were down the Cape the other day, and we ran an event. And even if the event's not full, you still go and you do your best and whatever.
Yeah.
And then you get someone who's like, "Oh, I'm the mayor of a town, and you guys should be, come out to this town in Western Mass."
Yeah.
Whose name I can't remember. What's the name of it?
Gardner.
And the whole time I'm just like, there's no way this guy's mayor. He's like pulling my leg. He looks 12. There's no way this guy's mayor. But yeah, it's like you have to be kind of like open to those. Like you said, you went on this thing and you just kind of got into this volunteer work that is so important.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel like sometimes it's not. You got to look beyond stuff. Like there's something that I was told before about like an artist development program I was with. They're like, it's not about the show. It's about the show you get from the show. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, because there was a show that I did down in Key West, and I ended up getting a private show out of that one. And it's just like it's all about like networking and stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I hate to say networking sometimes though, because it drives me a little nuts because I like to have genuine connections with people. I don't like there to be like a purpose behind.
But you can tell the difference between someone who's networking to get you to buy insurance and someone who's meeting someone because they want to meet other people in a similar field.
Yeah. Well, so
there's a bit of genuine.
Yeah. I have. So my thing, like in Nashville, when I go out to places to like listen to live music and stuff, or I go out to where there's, musicians, I feel like every time you meet a musician, the conversation always ends in like, we should co-write sometime.
Okay.
And I'm just like, man, I just like want a friend to chill with and write live music. Like I don't want to do work. I just want to.
It is kind of hard to shut it off though. Don't you think?
I don't think so.
Really?
Well, or maybe just for me, because I'm just like, I'm pretty much just like a solo in everything that I do.
Yeah.
So I don't really have interest in making like work connections. I'm just like, I just want to meet genuine friends to like surround myself with.
I honestly admit I have a very hard time shutting it off.
Do you?
Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of times it just comes, and part of it is what we do is, I mean, you're a musician. So it's not quote unquote normal. and we're podcasters and content creators, and like you meet someone at a bar in the most casual, like, hey, what's going on? What do you do? Is like one of the first questions that come out.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm always like, oh man, like that's a tough question.
Yeah.
And they're like, why is it a tough question? I'm like, well, I do event promotions and I create content online and blah. And then they're suddenly like, I've never met a person and so they suddenly have a ton of questions. So it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
I have to start being like, I'm a dentist.
No. I mean, yeah, I feel like if you're, so maybe my conversations start off different because I feel like the question of what do you do is never.
That never comes up?
It never really comes up.
Really?
Yeah.
What is the question that comes up?
I don't know, like, how are you doing? How's your day going?
Yeah,
and then we get into, like, life stuff. I don't know. I have too deep conversations with people.
I get, what do you do? And I know there's changelings. That's kind of the polar, like...
Wait, what?
Yeah. Like, there are changelings amongst us. I get those two types of people.
Okay. What does that mean?
To her?
They're changelings?
Meant there are people who change shape.
Oh, okay.
This happened. I went to see.
Well, that sounds like an interesting conversation
it was
to be
a
in.
Super interesting conversation, and then it got.
I would
frightening.
be down to be a part of that.
I don't know. Right about that, I'm like, this is a little scary.
I met somebody on my road trip in Colorado while I was busking in Aspen that claimed that he was reincarnated Jesus. And when I wouldn't let him come on my road trip with me, he was very disappointed because he wanted to show me the other realms of reality and what I could do. I was like, I really respect what you're doing, but I need you to respect what I'm doing as well. I don't have a
passport to go to the other realms.
Yeah, I'm like, I am on, my own path. And then he proceeded to put a pre-roll in my guitar case. And I thought, you know what? If this was reincarnated Jesus, he might be a little bit more mindful that I might have had a problem with weed in my past.
As you travel across the country.
Yeah, I gave it back to him, like, I don't do that anymore, but thank you.
Yeah, this conversation started off with this girl complaining about they were coming over here and ruining our beaches. And so I kind of kept probing because I felt like it was going to be like a racist thing. And then she's like, blah, blah, changelings. And I'm like, what? She's like, shape changers. I know. She's like, I've seen people change shape in front of me. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go now.
Imagine if she did.
Yeah, I'm sure she did see it. She might have gotten a pre-roll from Jesus.
She might have. Yeah.
Pre-roll from Jesus, by the way, is the name of my jam band.
People. TM.
Yeah,
Trademark.
Trademark that right now. Fish. How about line?
Oh, yeah. You never know. People, that's why I like to talk to people because there's so many different people in this world that have so many different ideas, and you get to just experience everyone else's brain and how it functions.
And you always get to meet, I always run into the people you would never be like, oh, I met this person. They're not famous, but they're kind of noteworthy. Like, I met the CEO of Friendly's.
Did you?
Just at a brewery, hanging out, having a beer.
Nice.
Yeah, chit-chatting, apparently.
See, I would sit next to that guy all night and have a conversation. I would never ask, what do you do?
We exchanged emails.
I would never know that he was the CEO of Friendly's because I never asked.
Yeah. I feel like people tend to ask me more.
Yeah.
Because they'd be like, ugh, this guy doesn't have a job.
This guy.
And I'm like, no, not really. You're fairly accurate in that.
You do. You do have a job.
You are so positive.
Give yourself credit.
So, I was going to get kind of back on track, and I don't feel like I can do that from pre-roll Jesus.
You can get back on track however you want. There are no rules here.
Oh, clearly.
Clearly.
But, so, you said you have some new songs coming out. You plan on releasing a few this year.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, no pressure.
There's no commitment here.
Yeah.
Just want to make that for the record. Right. There's no commitment.
So how long does it take you from writing a song to feeling it's ready? And how do you know it's ready?
Generally, I know it's ready when I'm super, super excited about it. When I just can't wait to share it with my community. Those days, I remember I wrote that the night before. And generally, a lot of my songs that are worth sharing, I write very quickly.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where I have this thought and then it all just spills out of me.
Really?
Yeah. So I remember I wrote those days, and the next day I was like, listen, I just wrote this song yesterday. It's not perfect yet, but I need you guys to hear it because I'm jazzed about it and I want you guys to hear it. And then, 2 weeks later, I was like, okay, how can I record this? So usually I'm just like super motivated. I also had a lot of extra income at the time. So I was just like, well, I don't need to worry about how much it's going to cost because I've got the money. Now it's a little different. But we're working on that. That's the other thing about being a Nashville musician. I think people assume I have way more money than I do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, y'all, I'm about to go sleep in my Prius this summer.
Well, what's funny is like when you think of like Nashville, there's like a certain amount of, I guess, credibility that you just automatically lump on. You're like, oh, they're a musician in Nashville.
Yeah.
I'm just a lowly musician in Plymouth or whatever, but like the Plymouth music scene is huge here.
Well, and what's frustrating is even myself, just up until, quite frankly, recently, I had such a hard time of like letting go of the Nashville perception because I was like, if I don't live in Nashville, are people going to think less of me?
Yeah.
And then I just came to terms with, who cares? Because I'm still the same musician. Nothing has changed. I'm singing the same music with the same quality that I would no matter where I lived.
And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with the daily live streams. It's not really about where you live anymore.
Yeah.
And
you get paid way more here in the South Shore than you do in Nashville, quite frankly.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
I would have never guessed that.
Broadway musicians get paid like $50 to maybe $100 for 3 hours, and you got to pay $20 for parking and pray to God that you get tips.
Wow. That's crazy.
So it's not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. We should do a whole podcast about uncovering the real Nashville.
All right, Fish. We're starting a new podcast called.
There's so many
Jesus
things.
In Nashville.
Yeah, there's so many things. I mean, like I said, Nashville is great for live music 24/7, but I mean, yeah, it's not easy to actually make a living. I think people are more.
Do you think it's because so many musicians travel there, and it's just kind of
if you're not gonna play for $50, then somebody else will. Yeah. Is kind of the thing. So. I don't know. It's the Nashville perception is a little hard to let go of, but I think once you do, you can probably make a better living. Because for me, I don't necessarily want to be like this famous person that can't live a normal life because everyone knows who I am and everyone has an opinion of every action that I do. So I mean, I just want to afford to have a life and continue doing music, and like that's my dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've just kind of realized that balancing that expectation that others have of me versus like what do I actually want in my life, which is I would love to do music and I would love to travel.
And that's always kind of like one of those interesting things because I feel like even the expectation of yourself, you have to kind of have that realization of I don't want to say, I guess you don't win. Like, there's no touchdown moment. It's like you kind of like get somewhere and then you go, okay, well, I played that place that I wanted to, or I played with this musician that I really wanted to. Now what? Like you just kind of have to have that mentality of keep moving the bar and keep.
I think there's a very distinct separation between expectation of self and expectation that other people have of you. And I think a lot of times we put the expectations of what others think about us on ourselves. So it's like this, it becomes the same thing, but there is a very
But do you
big
think we
difference.
do that, or do you think we put our perception of their expectation, meaning like, I think they want
it's a
me
very
to do.
self-absorbed thing. Like, it's not anything that actually people are thinking. It's just everything like, oh God, like it's just our own negative self-talk that we put on ourselves, and we just assume that other people are talking about us when the reality is nobody cares. They've got enough troubles going on in their own lives.
I can't remember. I heard someone say once, like 90% of the time, it's not about you. Like, they're not talking about you. They haven't thought about you.
Yeah.
Like,
have you ever read, one of my favorite books that I always recommend to people is The Four Agreements. Have you ever?
No, I'm not. I'm not a huge reader. I'm a little dyslexic.
No,
so
that's okay.
I find enjoyment in it.
But there are, there's like the Four Agreements, and one of them is to not take anything personally. Because,
It's very
like you said,
difficult.
it's just, but you really just have to realize that a lot of times it's just not about you. But we are, as human beings, so self-absorbed sometimes that we just assume that everyone's negative reaction is not because they've had a bad day. It's not because of a fight they just got into. It's because of something we've done.
Somehow that clerk that has met you for 45 seconds hates you. And you're like, you're going to say something.
You're like, it's something to do with me.
Yeah, and they're like, who? I don't even remember serving that person.
Exactly.
They were just here.
So you really
it's not
have
about
to.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think...
Sarah, this podcast isn't about you.
I know. I know. This is a team effort.
There's no effort here.
But it really isn't, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And I totally agree. But it is very hard. I've always been... I've suffered with self-esteem issues, which is really hard to shut off and make, realize it's not about you, and that kind of expectation that you're not good enough isn't even an expectation that person has.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so for me, like, when everything went down and I got unengaged, that was really like the tipping point. Like I said, I kind of just started to discover a lot of like the negative self-talk that I had, because like I said, I was always like a super bubbly, outgoing person, much like you see now, but it was, like I said, it was not exactly authentic. It was more of like...
It wasn't internal.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, what if people realize that like I'm lost and I don't know what I want to do in life and I'm not sure if I'm on the right path, and there was like all of this stuff, but on the outside I wasn't going to let anybody see that, because that would be embarrassing that we don't all have it figured out.
Yeah, and there's a certain amount of that fake it till you make it kind of thing that is helpful sometimes.
But is it? I just feel like the more and more
sometimes.
you just admit that like, look, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and I'm figuring it out as I go, and it's okay. I feel like...
I think it's important to I think the most intelligent thing anyone can say is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing truer that you will ever say.
Right.
Because you won't ever be wrong.
Well, and I feel like more people feel normal about having like anxieties and stuff when you admit you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when everyone in this day of age is like pretending that their life is perfect and that's all you see, you internalize, I'm weird for not feeling happy all the time or whatever. And it's like, no, it's not realistic to be happy all the time. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like that is a part of life. Like if
you almost need to not be happy all the time, because you need
just
to be
need to
unhappy to know what happiness is.
Yeah, and you just need to be honest with yourself and like be okay with people seeing that you're not okay, or sharing like, I don't mind being an open book and being like vulnerable, because I think that helps other people like know that it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to be like, I don't have it all figured out. I don't know what my plans are. Don't know if I'm living in Nashville. I don't know if I'm living in Massachusetts. Right now I'm living in my parents' house. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care who knows that, because right now that's what works for me.
You don't care if someone knows that you eat the peel of a kiwi fruit.
Oh, you saw that? Yes, I eat my kiwis unpeeled, and it's delicious. Don't look at me like that.
Somehow that like popped up in my timeline.
Yeah.
It was like a poll. You put out a poll?
Yes, on Instagram. Now, mind you, my sister, who recorded me eating this this unpeeled kiwi, eats the shells of shrimp. So, okay. Yeah, okay. So it's not just me and
I
my
feel like
family.
Both those things are weird.
We're all a little quirky, and that's fine. It's also easier to eat. She likes the texture.
I'm gonna side with you more than her.
Thank you.
You
hear that, Anna?
I feel like you could convince me that kiwi fruit husk is edible before you get like shells just
jammed into your throat as you swallow that.
Yeah.
I don't know. She likes it.
Craft shells with cheddar sauce. Those shells are okay.
Hey, those are okay.
Yeah.
Teach their own, though. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to...
We're judging her a little bit.
I'm just here to put out that you should try
you can judge a sibling a little bit.
No, try and be supportive. We've already had the judgment stage. We're trying to be supportive now.
No, but I think like what you're saying is like all very useful, but very hard to kind of keep in that mindset.
Yeah.
Is there like a tip?
I mean, you gotta test yourself, kind of. Like, for me, I used to think that I was really stupid because I had a teacher in high school one time.
They told you were stupid?
No, she told me you're lucky that you're pretty.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was the same teacher, and there was an instance where I'm not somebody that retains 100% of the information when I hear it.
No one does.
Well, tell that to my AP Bio class in high school. But I didn't understand. We were like talking about something. I don't even know what it was. I probably should because I was so traumatized by it. But she had me try and explain it 3 times. Like, she explained it, and then she's like, okay, repeat back what I just said. And in my mind, I'm like, I can't do that. So I just had this moment in front of my whole AP Bio class where I just felt dumb.
Yeah.
You know, and because she repeated the process again, and then she's like, okay, now tell me.
Which she also has you up in front of everyone, so there's that added anxiety.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was sitting at the table, but all of the eyes were on me. So it was like, from then on, I just felt like the stupid kid in the smart class. You know what I mean? And I've had like issues with that ever since. And like I said, I just got to the point where I was like, I'm not stupid. I can learn things. I just learn them at a different rate and in a different way.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, I'm not stupid. And plus, having the desire to learn something, I think, is like more important than knowing everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just think
it helps you learn. Cause if you have that mentality of like, what am I going to use this for? Why do I need to learn it? You're not gonna.
Yeah.
Because you have no desire to.
I think people are too worried about appearing perfect and not making any mistakes. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned recently is just like, you have to be okay with sucking at something at first, and like having fun sucking at something. Like, people tell me all the time, they're like, oh, well, I wish I could sing. It's like, well, just do it then. Yeah. Who cares if you suck at it?
Sing.
Like, sing. If that makes you happy, who cares what everybody else thinks? You know, I'm like, do whatever you want. Do the things that make you happy, even if you suck at it. You don't need to be good at everything.
And I feel like that's really been something I've realized, I'd say like in the last 10 or 12 years, kind of like, you know, when I moved to Plymouth, became like a bit of a food snob. And, and now I'm like, you like Taco Bell? Cool, man. If that makes you happy, eat it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, just let everyone be happy. Who cares? Exactly. Like, why are we putting so much pressure on our own happiness that, like, from what other people are, you know?
Yeah, and you see people like, oh my God, you put pineapple on pizza. Like, who cares?
Who cares?
If you don't like it, don't eat it, man.
Let people be happy.
It's not a problem.
Stop judging people for the way that they express their happiness.
If you say Valentine's Day and the other person says Valentine's Day, what difference does it make, fish?
Yeah. Oh, is that this is personal. I see that now.
Yeah. Just be happy with the way.
Happy.
Yeah. See? Sarah's advice.
I mean, you can tell people what grammatically is the right thing, but don't let it ruin your day.
I don't.
He's lying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like this is. I've had this conversation with people before too. Are you like a huge sports fan?
No.
So
I like the hockey, and the other stuff is.
My whole issue with sports is that too many people, like, depend on what happens with something that has nothing to do with their lives, like, for their mood. Like, I've seen people get so upset watching. You got that bee hat on. I'm pretty sure we might be talking to you. But you get so upset, and it, like, ruins your whole day. And I'm like, but that doesn't actually have anything to do with, like,
the thing that I always found amazing.
I get that you get invested. Yeah. I get that.
But the thing that I found amazing and a little disturbing is whenever a team wins a championship, they always interview people, and there's always some guy who's like, this is the happiest day of my life, and he's standing next to his wife or his kids, and I'm like, what an ass.
I mean, well, okay, if you're a player.
No, not a player. Just like a guy. Oh. Like on the street. He's like, this is the happiest day. Like, you didn't even do anything, man. Like, you bought a ticket.
Well, Again, I'm not here to judge anybody else's happiness. It's more of when I see people get upset about it that bothers me, because I'm like, you're putting unnecessary negative energy on yourself. If it makes you happy, yes, I'm all for it. But if it makes you sad, I'm like, we just need to separate a little bit more.
If a game you didn't play in is the happiest day of your life, and you have
again, I'm not here to judge.
You know what?
If it's making him happy, maybe his perspective is a little off. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if it makes him happy, whatever. It's just I just hate to see things that bring people down that don't need to bring them down.
Everybody has like pet peeves.
Yeah.
And I'm typically not a road rage person, but like COVID has made me very short-tempered, like behind the wheel for some reason. And it's like it's very much like I feel like you don't necessarily have control over what emotions you feel when.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
if you
can,
not because sometimes they just come on.
If you practice it,
but sometimes they just come on.
Sure.
So the guy cuts you off, makes you super angry. Okay, but then let it go.
Yeah.
You know, let it go.
Does it ruin your whole day?
No, it makes me more angry than it needs to be.
There's some leftovers.
Yeah. Which is weird. It's a fairly new thing. But like, I at least have he's not even in front of me anymore. Like,
yeah.
He's probably home already. Why am I mad?
But when you can like have that dialogue with yourself, then I feel like you can calm yourself down because it's when you don't have that dialogue that you're like 3 days later, you're like, why am I upset right now? And you realize it's because of 3 days ago, some guy cut you off.
Yeah.
I used to have pretty bad like road rage.
Which is awesome when you're on an 81-day road trip.
No, but by then it was gone. I have not had road rage in a couple years. In a couple years, I've not had road rage. Now, when someone cuts me off, I've literally said this out loud. I'm like, okay, you go ahead. Hope you have a nice day. Because I'm just like, it's not worth it to get
I usually
upset.
swear at them once or twice, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
But, I'm an imperfect person, Sarah. Stop judging me.
No, we all are. Hey, we
but
all
what if my
are
anger
imperfect.
makes me happy?
Then you really got to reassess that because you're putting negative energy into the world, and we don't need any more of that.
It is. It's a very crazy time. Do you, when you write your music, do you try to avoid negative storylines or feelings in your song?
No? It's just, do I have negative?
So I feel like sometimes
I've written one negative song about somebody.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think.
Was it about fish? You can tell me.
Wasn't about fish. Wrote it on the way over here before I met him. I did write a fish song the other day. No, unrelated. I just write.
Fish,
I'll write like sad songs sometimes because the other part of writing songs, which is great, is I feel like it's a way to connect with people. Like I said, I like being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how to do that like in actual life outside of songwriting before, but now I can do both. But before it was just a nice way to like show other people like I have these emotions. Maybe this is a story that you can relate to, and maybe you'll feel more comfortable sharing your stories.
I feel like some of those are like very important when you're going through like the sad times. Like I feel like you almost need sad music to listen to kind of like move you through the grieving process.
Sometimes like it's very therapeutic to write too.
Yeah.
And I will say that I think writing sad songs is good and listening to sad songs is good to a point. I don't think
you have
that
to learn
you should live in the sad songs.
You have to have those days where you're like, all right, I'm sad. Sad mode's done. I'm gonna put on.
You definitely have to have days where you're like, I'm gonna embrace the suck today.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna let myself feel these feelings. And then you have to have days where you're like, okay, we've let myself feel these feelings and we don't need to live in this space, but you need to feel them.
What do you listen to get out of feeling the suck? Do you have like a go-to band that you're like, oh, I'm going to put this on, it's going to cheer me? Like I put on Jamiroquai because I feel like it's impossible to be in a bad mood when you're listening to Jamiroquai.
I don't even think I've heard of them. I listened to...
Right. You need to change that.
Okay. I listened to the Temptations and the Beach Boys and like oldies stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's like Motown is usually my go-to to like dance it out.
Get in the groove.
And yeah.
All right.
Also, Lizzo, Good as Hell. That's always like one that I bump. You don't know that one. You're gonna have to change that.
I guess so. Wow, all right. We both have homework.
Yeah, we both have homework.
Important.
We're going to exchange this information.
So you're going to play a couple songs for us.
Yep.
So what are you going to play?
I'm going to play those.
Oh, wait, before we do that.
Yes.
I totally forgot. Where can people go online to find your music, find you?
So basically everything on social media is Sarah Martin Music, Sarah with an H, Martin like the guitar, music like you'd spell it in any other scenario of life.
As a dyslexic person, I find this insulting.
I say this a lot. So it's just sarahmartinmusic.com, and then everywhere else, Instagram and Facebook, and then my music you can...
And what time do you stream? Do you stream at the same time every day?
So Mondays I do Lake Cam Live at noon, which is like through a local TV network in Lakeville. But I also stream it through my Facebook.
Yeah.
And then Sunday mornings I do like a Sunday gospel from 9:30 to 10 a.m. And then every other day is basically a free for all.
Just whenever
I come on. So like if you just put your notifications on, it'll hopefully tell you. But depending on how Facebook is feeling that day, it'll let you know that I'm live.
Always...
But yeah, you can find my music everywhere. Literally anywhere you can get music. I discovered last week that my music's on Napster, and that Napster still exists.
Oh my God, really?
Your look is
We just recorded a podcast, did we?
Yeah.
I forgot. Oh, that's right. Someone else bought it, right? Yeah.
Yep, Napster exists, so you can find my music on Napster. Pandora, all the normal ones, and also the obscure ones.
I like how
too.
you said Napster as one of the normal ones.
No, it's not.
Okay, It was at one point.
Yeah.
That's so funny. We just recorded that podcast.
Yeah, I found that out the other day, and I'm like, this still exists? It's like how I pirated all my music back when I was like 9.
Yeah, if anyone wants to hear the history of Napster, go check out the old Colony Cast in 2 weeks. What's today? When's that go up? Oh, wait. Go back. It's already going to be up by now. Yeah. So go back and check out the old Colony Cast. Yeah, a month ago. You'll hear the history of Napster.
I'm going to have to tune into that.
Yeah, it's a good one. So what are you going to play for us?
So, first song, I'll play Those Days, which that's been out, I think I released it July 1st of last year. And that's had some radio play on The Bull. And
I don't know what that is.
The Bobby Bones Show.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've heard of him.
So they've put my song on their Sunday backyard country segment, and also the Rivers put it on theirs.
Cool.
And a couple of stations in Nashville. So I'll play that one first, and then we'll play a couple that haven't been released. One's called Shine. And that one is about the conversation I had with my ex, like, the day after I wrote that song, when we realized, like, we just weren't going to get back together.
Oh, okay.
So I wrote that song. And then the last one I'll play is called From My Mama. I haven't released that one either, and just wrote it for my mom.
Oh.
Showed it to her on Mother's Day.
Aww.
It was nice. Someday I'll actually record it for her so the whole world can hear.
Was it like, she's like, hey, it's Mother's Day, and you're like, oh, crap, I don't have a gift. I wrote you a song.
No, I've been working on it for a while. I've been working on a song for both my parents for a while, and, because, like, if you're going to write a song for your parents, like, it better be good.
So I'm going to give you another homework assignment.
Oh, gosh, okay.
So it's on YouTube. Mm-hmm. The recording quality is terrible.
Great.
It's a one-man show called The Stephen Banks Show. And it is all about this guy who, as a kid, wanted to grow up to be a rock star and is stuck as a speechwriter. And it's just kind of like in a crappy office-type job. So this is like him getting home after a day of work. And when he gets home, he puts on the Stephen Banks Show where he, like, dances around his apartment. So the stage is set up like his apartment.
Okay.
And then, as it turns out, he has to immediately write a speech that he forgot to write, and it's him between writing the speech and getting distracted and playing music around his apartment. It's very like classic rock, tribute-y kind of stuff, and he plays bass, he plays guitar, he plays the drums, he plays everything. But you made me think of it because he has this girlfriend, and he's the only one, so everyone else is like via phone, like him holding up the phone talking to him. And it's his anniversary. And he's like, yeah, I got you something. And she's like, what? He's like, I wrote you a song. And it's just him singing the song, like going from item to item in his like apartment, like working it into the song. It's really funny. So Stephen Banks Show, listeners, go check it out. It's on YouTube. Quality's terrible. It was on Showtime. You're
really hyping this up.
I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's not terrible.
No, you said that. The sound quality
the quality. It's obviously from like a VHS recorder.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited about
But it's
this.
good.
Yeah.
So
I'll watch that.
So go listen to Sarah's songs and then go watch
and then
Steve.
check in Steve.
But thanks for joining us, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And for our listeners, we'll catch you guys next week.
There are days life don't seem fair. When you're down inside and feeling like nobody cares. You take one more step, you're beat down, dog tired. And you're trying your best, thinking life's a test, but you're always walking the wire. There are days when the light is bright, but the sun ain't shining your way. There are days when it hurts to lose. It's up to you to push on through those days. Now there are days that this world seems cold, and a young soul and hopeful heart feels tired and old. 'Cause every now and then I look at my left hand. It rocked the diamond once, but the shine wore off, and it never got the wedding band. There are days when the light is bright, but the sun ain't shining your way. There are days when it hurts to lose. It's up to you to push on through those days. So cry if you want to, scream if you need to, break glass and watch each other. Yeah, cry if you want to, scream if you need to, break glass, watch each other like the dreams you thought you had. 'Cause there'll be days when you choose you to find your truth, come what may. And there'll be days when it hurts to lose. It's always up to you to push on through those days. Those days. There comes a day, yeah, there will come a day when you look back in the looking glass and see you're still okay. Today is the first day of the rest of my life, and for better or worse, the choice is mine. Will I crumble, or will I fall, or will I rise above it all and realize the suns in the sky might be a little rain sometimes, but I'm gonna shine. Shine, 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 I'm gonna shine. Yesterday, the last day I said goodbye to you. Close the open door, we decided we're through. A little scared and unsure, but I will fall in love once more and realize the suns in the sky might be a little rain sometimes, but I'm gonna shine. shine, shine, I'm gonna shine. Well, expectation can wear you down. We put ourselves in a cage. In time you might find you need a fresh new start. Don't be afraid of a blank page, 'cause tomorrow's the first day of the rest of your life. And for better or worse, the choice is yours. Will you fall victim to what you know, or will you pave your own road and dare to dream that as bright as the night skies gleam, that you're gonna shine? Shine, 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 you're gonna shine. Shine, 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 you're gonna shine. Shine, 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 you're gonna shine. Shine, 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 I'm gonna shine. I'm like, yay, that went better than expected.
I should have that shirt.
Talk of the town since she was a kid. If you knock her down, she'll just get back up again. She's a mild, wild child with the spirit of the wind. When people ask her where she got it, she's just living life the way she been taught it. She said, I got it from my mama. Independent when I mean it, yeah, I'm gonna climb on mountain when I got her. I stay strong and carry on when the day gets long. Yeah, I choose to refuse to lose, and I got it from my mama. Grew up to be a teacher, defender of her world, mama to a song and 2 baby girls. Caretake her, can't break her, smile for miles and tough as nails. When people ask her where she got it, she's just living life the way she been taught it. She said, I got it from my mama. Independent when I mean it, yeah, I'm gonna climb a mountain when I got her. I stay strong and carry on when the day gets long. Yeah, I choose to refuse to lose, and I got it from my mama. A force of nature to be reckoned with, stands up for what she believes. And I'm proud to say the woman you see today is from what she gave to me. Hey, I got it from my mama. Independent when I'm in it, yeah, I'm gonna climb on mountain when I got her. I stay strong and carry on when the day gets long. Yeah, I choose to refuse to lose, and I got it from my mama. Hey, I got it from my mama. Yeah, I got it from my mama. The dance. Better than expected.
That's it. And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again for listening.